I would do, I'd balance it. So anyway, that's the end of all the presentations, all the questions. We thought we'd try and give you some insight. You've now got time for some more questions. Charlie.
Yeah. The fixtures. What do you think about the fixtures? Like when a team like us are got to play a league game away Tuesday night at Plymouth, when say Exeter are playing Cambridge. You know? Surely the fixtures could be altered or go back to the old system of South and North divisions.
I met a person that does the fixtures. Fascinating job. It sounds sarcastic, but it genuinely is. I wouldn't want their job. There's so many factors to consider: policing, what events are going on, etc., etc. And it is increasingly a difficult job, especially when that thing called Sky or BT Sport get involved. I think there'll be a debate that we had in EFL meetings in the coming time in terms of potentially going back to North and South. I don't know if it will happen, but I think there'll definitely be a discussion in the very near future on the merits.
Surely that'd cut a lot of expense down, wouldn't it? I mean, I can remember being in the old South, 3rd Division South and that, and you didn't go far, but you've got bigger gates and more people coming to watch your game because, you know, ain't going to get many people coming from Carlisle on a Tuesday night to the Orient, are you?
Imagine not being able to do Barrow on a Tuesday night.
I'm going to miss it.
Okay, I'm going to read the next question. Someone had to leave, he gave it to me. In your book, The Challenge Culture, quick plug.
You got a book?
I got a book, yeah. It says on page 219, you're not competing on the size of your wallet, you're competing based on being able to formulate a strategy, execute it and stick to it. Have you now got the right strategy in place on what more needs to be done to get Leyton Orient to the top of League 2 table and beyond? Our strategy was very clearly formulated, very much focused on people, to get the club to sustainability. We had a few bumps in the road. Danny, do you just want to share what those bumps were and I'll continue?
Yeah, when we came in and when I obviously joined 3 months after, or 3 or 4 months after the takeover, we had some financial dire straits. Some of that continued, and I'll take my more than fair share of that. We had an awful lot that we didn't budget for. We had budgeting processes that were reliant on figures that were absolute rubbish. I think it's swore them, but that'd be another idea that Dan's got to do. And some of that continued up until pretty recently. But we had a huge amount over the last 18 months of costs that we wouldn't have expected. Partly through financial mismanagement, but the majority of that through stuff that you just couldn't ever predict. I think we know some of the answers to that.
Can I just say, financial mismanagement isn't people misappropriately using it, it's just accounting control.
Yeah.
I'd also say we expected to be in the National League at least 3 years, just to remind you of that. We had a very steady path of getting back to League 1 and beyond. We're trying to manage our costs. Right now, as you've heard from Martin, we're trying to move the squad slowly, steadily towards what we call League 1 capable. It's a steady path. As Kent has said, we probably aren't where we'd like to be this year. I actually think there's some reasons which we could debate at length. We don't need to. We all know what the issues are. I believe we will continue to improve, but we will see gradual improvement. But we have to improve our finances at the same time, and that's why we did that session tonight. Right, next question.
The fact that we don't own our grounds and we rent, is it becoming an ongoing problem?
Right, the fact we don't own our ground and we rent instead, is it an ongoing problem? I'll give my answer. Danny may disagree. I think it's not a problem at all. We have a very good relationship with the pension fund influenced by Barry. I think the rent is reasonable. And I think if we bought the ground, which we probably could, it would certainly put us back. We'd have even less money to put into players and other things. I personally think buying the ground will be wasted money. So I actually think the relationship we have right now is the right one. That's my answer. Danny may disagree.
No, I couldn't agree more.
Right.
Just slightly on the same topic, but in terms of the East Stand, is there a commercial project, maybe with the landlord, or something else in a sustainable way, which you can, you know, clearly these other bits of the ground have been developed, have been commercial successes, I would have thought. Could that be another commercial project to rebuild that stand, offices? I don't know what the planning permission situation might be, but could that then be another revenue stream?
Okay, so did everyone hear that? Yeah, the answer is yeah, we think the East Stand has an opportunity to be redeveloped in some way. So we totally agree with what you said. We see that as an opportunity. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. I think we need to, I mean, if I'm standing back from it, Martin mentioned it, how do we improve where the academy plays, is what Lewis talks about. How do we improve the training ground? How do we improve the East Stand, as you said? I think it's a number of projects there, and it could be that if we suddenly got this one-time gain from somewhere, that some of that will be taken into account. But then again, you could also argue that the East Stand could be given out to a developer to do something as you suggest. Good question.
In the Grimsby programme, you mentioned that there's new investors coming into the club. A few questions about that. Who are they? What, if anything, do they bring to the club apart from money? What are their expectations? And does their input give them any influence?
Okay, great question. Everyone hear that? Okay, so this week we got one guy who's already put some money in. Happens to be a good friend of mine. He's never been here, but he sees every game because he's streaming. He'll be at Stevenage, bringing his whole family. Very excited. He's got no desire to be on the board. To answer your question, he bought money and I think enthusiasm. Another group who are coming in the next few weeks are prior owners of two major league hockey teams. Nearly bought the Miami Dolphins as well, which eventually got sold for $1 billion. And by the way, it's my other love. So Miami Dolphins, as you know, is very important. And he, I think, brings the expertise of having run major league franchises, as they say, call it in the States. Is a marketing whiz, so could help us on the revenue side. And then another guy has been trying to buy into US sports, loves football, thinks he could contribute, and I think even though he doesn't want to be on the board, he would contribute both with his finances and his expertise, particularly in social media, as he was an early person in one of the great internet companies that exist today.
Have they taken shares in the company?
They effectively take shares in our investment vehicle, which is called Eagle. So they take shares in that, and then Eagle buys into Leyton Orient.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what they expect. What is it just philanthropic?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. What do they expect? They expect to be involved in something, to have fun. Every American I bought here has thought this is a spectacular experience. I bought a guy who's a major activist investor, if you know what that is, on Boxing Day. He and his two girls thought it was and his wife thought it was one of the greatest experiences of their lives. We lost. But I gave him a tour of the ground. It's better and bigger than everyone who comes from the States expects. They think because we're in League Two, we're some, let's say, not very exciting team. They were genuinely very impressed. And to answer your question, people want to be involved in that. I mean, to get into Major League Soccer, to take a small share, you're talking about probably $15 million. And people say, I just don't want to spend that kind of money.
One more question for Danny. Danny, one way of raising revenue for next season would be to bring back the basis kit.
We'll soon be releasing next season's images, I say soon, a few months' time. Watch the space.
I don't even know what they are, so I don't know what that answer means, but anyway. Steve?
Martin, if we get our loanee tomorrow from a Premier League club and that's the end of it for this week, how satisfied will you be with the overall transfer window business?
I'm quite a simple person, so I do it in a simple way. So I look at Lawrence Vigouroux as replaced Dean Brill. So for me, that's good. Cisse has replaced Dale Gorman, so I feel that's quite good. Danny Johnson has replaced James Alabi. George Marsh has to come into the equation in terms that he signed again, and he's one of 4 players that were brought in the window, and his flexibility in terms of versatility, more than his versatility in terms of playing centre midfield or right back, which he's done over the last 3 games very well in my opinion. I'm happy with that. And the new player, he's not replacing anyone. He's just I was very happy with the 4. The 5th one came about because my connection and also Ross's connection with certain people. So it was a bit like looking a gift horse in the mouth, if I'm totally honest, the last one. So I'm happy with the window.
Is there any outgoings, Martin?
Well, you've had the outgoings have been Gorman.
Yeah, any more?
No more outgoings. The only outgoings that will come out is like last year. The window shuts for a week on the 1st of Feb, which I can't wait for actually, if I'm totally honest. From the 1st of Feb to the 8th of Feb, the window's shut, but the National League window's still open. We feel like we've got some young players like Shabani, who's just come back from injury, that need to go out below us. There's a couple of other, Janata needs to go out below us, but none of the senior players. We've got a very good squad now. I thought we played very well the other night, but I still feel that one of the departments that we need to get better on is goal return. I think that Danny Johnson, who everyone has seen him play, will hopefully do that, because we need to get more than Josh Wright being our top scorer on 8 goals, if I'm totally honest. So I think that's a department that we need to look at, and where we are in the league. Most departments need to be looked at, but my job in the window is to make us better than when we started the window. So if on the 1st of January going on to the 1st of February, I'm very happy with the window, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, time for 2 more questions and then we'll wrap it up.
Well, Dean, well, go on, you go first.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about clubs that ain't been run too well, Macclesfield, Bury, all that. Is there any clubs that are run well, in a similar sort of size, that you, I wouldn't say look up to, but compare them to?
Excellent question. I mean, I'll give my list quickly, and these 2 may disagree. I think Colchester run pretty well. I think I got the impression Exeter were run pretty steadily when I was down there. I'll think.
Yeah, there's a couple of others. There's not enough best practice sharing in the EFL. Something I've banged on in the 4 years I've worked in, 4.5 years I've worked in football. Nowhere near enough that was in cricket. There's a couple of other clubs to add to that. Stevenage, I'm meeting with them next week. And there's a few other clubs that we make sure we have a point when we go over to visit them, wherever it is. We go and spend as much time with their equivalents so we can learn. It's every day's school day.
Just thinking about strength in numbers, with all your points there that you want to raise. If you've got a good band of you together, you get people on side, more of you.
Power in the collective, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. You got any club? You and mine?
No.
Okay, right. Last question.
Can I say one more question?
Right.
With Martin?
Last 2 here. Well, go on.
Okay. You're really good friends with Dean Smith.
I am.
Is there any relationship between us and Aston Villa for next season with the under-23s?
They want there to be. Me and Nigel went and met Dean at Windsor Hotel when they played at Fulham. Well, so I met Dean. I talked to Dean at least 3 or 4 times a week, if I'm totally honest. But I took Nigel over to meet Dean. They have got they've said they've got the same problems as anyone else. 23s playing 23s football is not working. My problem with Villa is I can guarantee that I get good players, because Dean will guarantee that, even though he ain't seen in 23s all the time. But I know that I will get good players from Dean. The problem is that you've got to then house them, and if they're young, they're probably moving away from home for the first time. So the risk of taking 2 players or 4 players, you can take 4 players from one club as long as they're all under 23. The problem with taking or going into the partnership with Dean and Villa, which they would like us to do, I've been up there to meet them and all sorts, is that I've got more guarantees, I believe, with maybe London clubs who are begging or starting to beg us to use us as the same vehicle. So obviously I speak to Dean a lot, and I've expressed that to him and just said that I think there's more gamble with you on it. So the thing is with Dean, if I get a problem and I want a player, I can just phone him up and get that said player. But obviously the window's got to be open. Sure. I think if we're going to go tie up, when I mean the tie up is use certain clubs' players, is more likely to be a Tottenham, Arsenal, West Ham because of location. But Dean wants to do it, but it's nice to push him aside for a change, because I've taught him all he knows. I don't know if he knows.
Okay, very last question, Charlie, and then we're going to call it a day.
Could Dean Brill be our answer to the experience number 2?
My answer is potentially.
Yeah. Dean Brill, for the 7 months pre-Justin, was the best goalkeeping coach I've ever seen, if I'm honest with you, and his knowledge is superb. Dean is now a coach. Quite where we fit him in at the moment, at next season, I do not know. All I know at the moment, at the training ground, the combination of Ross, Dean and Joby is something I'm really, really comfortable with, really pleased with. Joby ain't as much as a coach as he could be, because he wants to play again. So Joby, but now we've worked it out, Joby comes and does his football work first now, comes in at 8 o'clock to get his football work in, and then he becomes a coach at 10 o'clock, which is, you know, detriment to accolade for Joby. But the thing is with it, Dean has been in the best place in the last 15 years to become a coach, in my opinion.
Strong character as well.
Massive strong character. But goalkeepers, he does all the defensive side of the set plays. Joby does all the attacking. It's starting to fit in how we want it to. Whether he'd be a number 2 or he'd be the goalkeeping coach, I've not really made my mind up yet. All I know is I want Dean Brill around me. I don't want Dean Brill going anywhere. And the day that he put his gloves back on, I promised him that when he took his gloves off, there would be a coaching job for him at this football club, because we're honest when we do that, and he put himself way above where he should have done, really. But yeah, he could be the answer, Charlie.
You know I like goalkeepers.
I know you like goalkeepers.
Is Reece still the goalkeeping coach then at the moment? Or is Reece?
No,
Reece is still the goalkeeping coach, yeah?
Yeah, Reece is doing the goalkeepers.
Okay, so I'm going to take one of your words to finish up. One of the things that we talk about at this club, we try and run it a very honest, straightforward way. I think tonight we've tried to share some more information with you. Football finances need fixing. Hopefully we've demonstrated that to you. There's a lot of choices that the league has to make. As someone said, we need to do it together, because a lot of clubs have different views on different things. All we know is that a few things have to be fixed. As a fan, I feel we're making progress as a club. I know it's been a bit of a lumpy year, but I want to thank everyone here for your continued enthusiasm, your continued hard work of getting places like Crewe, while I'm sitting on my backside watching it in Boston. But thank you for all you do, and thanks for coming tonight.